Welcome to the Irish NFL Show, brought to you by Dunes and Drams, our radio road coverage this year from 2026, ahead of Super Bowl LX. Discover Ireland beyond the game. We've got four of us here this morning, the morning after another night before, a quiet night in many ways. Ciarán Boyle, you're the fresh man in. Welcome. I mean, we welcomed you officially yesterday, but it's great to have you with us on screen. You went coast to coast for us.
Yes, flew in from Florida yesterday morning and came straight to Radio Row. I mean, it's phenomenal. There's energy everywhere. It's great to be here. I mean, everyone's here. The access is great. The weather's great. It's a really good vibe, and I think we can all agree it's been a great time so far.
Yeah.
Ciarán, by the way, he was claiming he was tired last night because of the 3-hour time difference.
Yeah,
he was looking for sympathy from
I
us.
quickly checked myself and remembered you guys flew farther.
He pinched himself.
The thing we were all most nervous for was that the weather would meet your expectations. Like, it's fine for us schlubs coming from the driving rain, but...
Well, I was telling Kieran this morning that, I don't have any jackets or anything, so this weather's perfect. I'll take this every day. It's a little bit cooler than I usually like, but I'll take it. I think early February we'll all take this weather.
He needs a good week in Ireland, doesn't he?
Set you right.
I need July in Ireland. I can.
You're back in perspective. But walking the floor again, Ciarán O'Donovan this morning. We bumped into Bijan Robinson a bit earlier, got a couple of words, like literally a couple of words with Bijan. Unfortunately, as with so many tacklers in the NFL this year, he managed to slip our grasp as well. He was busy on to something else, but it was him. We saw Emmett Smith. James Harrison was in the house. We had caught up with our good buddy Brian McFadden, hashtag friend of the show.
Bright McFadden was given a gift this morning, so he's the first member of the media, member of the US media, to go home with some genuine Irish NFL merch. And he put in a request for it yesterday as well.
For the hoodies and the jerseys. We were giving out a couple of those with some people on the wish list today or on the gift list today as well. Yeah,
they're drawing a lot of attention. But as you mentioned, this is the thing that I still can't get over. And I know you guys, you alluded to it, that you're going to come to Radio Row and there's, nothing is off limits. The people that you get to see. Never thought I'd be in a room with the all-time leading rusher. You mentioned Emmett Smith. James Harrison is just, across the room. We saw Matt Ryan there while ago.
Trevor Lawrence just there.
Yeah, it's just literally walking the halls. It's incredible the level of access that we have.
And you know what? I'd say when Trevor Lawrence woke up this morning, he wouldn't have dreamed that he'd be in the same room as Ciarán O'Donovan.
100%.
Washing his hair, thinking of you, Ciarán.
Absolutely, yeah.
Shoulders. I didn't know I had hands. I don't.
It's been incredible. It's just been an incredible experience, and we've, the people we've got to meet, and not just the more famous faces, but the people that we've had at the desk here as well. The insight that we're getting into the game. We've had Super Bowl champions on here. We've had people who've been members of the media for so long and who've covered these teams, on a weekly basis, and just the insight that you get into this world is phenomenal.
Brian, one thing that really struck me and that I really take away from this week, even in advance of where it was when I was at Radio Row last a couple of years ago, is just the level of interest in the international games in Ireland and in US-based fans and media and players and coaches excited to come over and excited to see what's happening. We spoke to Jeff Duncan yesterday, again, another great friend of the show, columnist with the Times-Picayune and NOLA.com in New Orleans, Saints beats writer. Like, he cannot wait to get over to Paris for that Saints game. But more and more people coming over asking us about how is the fandom for the game growing in Ireland? Are you seeing more and more people interested in it? What did the game in Croke Park do for the love of the sport there, and just really embracing it and really excited to see their game growing beyond their shores?
Yeah, very much so. And they even touched on the fact that in all likelihood, the NFL at some stage will transition into an 18-week season, which alludes to the fact that the conversation, the Roger Goodell is potentially a game in Europe every week throughout the course of the season. Every team will play in Europe, and they're excited. They seem to be excited about that. They're a bit disappointed that Dublin didn't get a game this coming season. They kind of felt a little bit for the Irish after. So it's the level of investment from a fan perspective to be at Croke Park last September. But we're very much aware of what the NFL landscape is, and Paris was one that was waiting for quite a long time to get there again. But there's great excitement around the Paris team. You touched on it there. Jeff spoke about it yesterday. Jeff's been to France time and time again for a summer holiday, so it kind of suits Jeff that the Saints are going over. But that's a great excitement in itself, and we look forward to next season. And please God, we have the opportunity to go to Paris and cover that game. It'll be a magnificent occasion.
And as you mentioned, Brian, the game in Dublin, and you just put it in my head, and it would be remiss of us not to mention that very serious incident that happened on Talbot Street this morning. Thoughts and prayers, obviously, with the people who lost some loved ones in that horrible thing to see, and our thoughts and prayers, as I say, with anyone who was impacted by that. It's we're a long way away, but our hearts very much with the people in Dublin who were affected by that incident this morning. Kieran Boyle, we got NFL honours today. It's one of the biggest days on the calendar, and you can see there was more and more people looking for credentials to get in this morning. A lot more media here. Big queues for a press conference that Roger Goodell, the NFL commissioner, is given. It's just happening above our heads here in the Moscone Convention Center in San Francisco, and we're seeing all the stars arriving in, and great excitement over who's going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year, MVP. It's been a season where there's been a lot of standout performances, even though we saw so many surprises and so many people that maybe didn't live up to the standards that we expected, and hence the coaching carousel was the way it was. But it's been a great year for that kind of standout play. It's been very exciting. I'm really looking forward to seeing how the honors shake out later on.
Yeah, I mean, offensively, the games there's been some phenomenal offensive games this season. Rookie of the Year, I'm really looking forward to seeing who's that. It would have been great if Scatabo had to maintain his health, but obviously, that is what it is. And same with Dart. He's got to be in the equation. I mean, just a great season despite all the issues that the Giants have. But I mean, across the board, defensively, I mean, we talked about yesterday was very kind of Seattle heavy, but Emanwari has got to be in the conversation for defensive rookie of the year. Leader on the field. We all remember that Reek Woolen situation in the playoff game and how he went in there and kind of took hold of the room almost. And I'm sure that's going to be a big factor in him probably winning the whole thing. But it's going to be great to see. It's always a fun night with the awards. We'll see who picks up what. But I mean, at this stage, I think we're all excited for, offensive playing going up a little bit. But then on the flip side, we've got phenomenal defensive players, Emanwari, but also, a variety of teams who, that like the Texans, just defensive, juggernauts. So we'll be looking forward to seeing who comes out on top of that. And probably not a banner year for the awards. I don't think there's anyone that really stands out. I mean, I've heard Tyler Shock being put out there as the offensive rookie of the year.
You're not buying that one.
Say again?
You're not buying that one, are you?
Well, I mean, quarterbacks. I mean, there's a whole separate conversation on that about the quality of quarterbacks coming out of school, out of college, the last couple of years, and I think it speaks to maybe a lack of overall quality that somebody like him. I'm not disparaging him at all in any way, but a Saints team, and he did, he was contributing to some wins as well as Charlie Smith, obviously, but. Would he really be classed as a standout name in another year? So it's probably to do with injuries from some key players. Like I said, Scatabo would have been a shoe-in, and it's just he'll end up winning it most likely. But we've seen years where there's been a whole bunch of really top names.
I do like to see, though, Kieran, I don't know when we talked about this a little bit, I do like to see a player recognized, and we picked it up with Jeff Duncan, who I mentioned as well when we were talking about Tyler Shook, a player who finds himself in a difficult situation and elevates himself above it. As he quite rightly mentioned, Kieran Boyle, to both Jackson Dart and Cam Scattergood would very definitely fall into that category. The guy that I know that Craig and the lads talked about on the AB Club that really stood out for me again in that same breath would be Harold Fannin, the tight end at Cleveland. He had an amazing season. In a season where we were talking about Tyler Warren earlier on, giving Colston Loveland a lot of love in the Bears. It's actually Harold Fannin who outgained both of them in an offense that wasn't firing at all.
Yeah, and we talk when you talk about the Shook thing, first of all, there's a bit of recency bias and a bit of quarterback bias, I think, involved in that, because the Tyler Shook, I suppose, rise only came in the latter part of the season. But at different times in the season, we had different shoe-ins. You mentioned Scattergood, but we talked about Emeka Buka for the first half of the season. We couldn't see anybody getting close to him.
Seeing the formality at that stage.
Absolutely. Then Tyler Warren kind of took over, and as you said, given the way the season panned out, Colston Loveland could have been it proved himself to be the better pick as the Bears made that decision to pick him above Tyler Warren. But yeah, I mean, it's at different points of the season you could have pointed to different people. Of course, the big one is the Drake May versus Matt Stafford as well. I think I think Matt Stafford is probably edging it. I think anyone you speak to, well, if you talk to Patriots people in the media, they think Drake May is going to win it. Talk to Rams people, they're going to give it to Stafford. But I think the decider will be the veteran over the rookie. I think Matt Stafford will get the MVP.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of that Jack Palance getting the Oscar for City Slickers, somebody who's ignored over the career, or if they think it's the last chance they're going to get to be able to give him the MVP, they probably will, you would think. Give it to Stafford over Drake May.
Although given the voting for the Hall of Fame, it might not be the best move to just give it to the guy who's on the last chance saloon.
Very true, very true. Brian, as we mentioned, Drake May, of course, Shane is out at the Patriots media availability today. Ciarán and Ben were out at Seahawks yesterday.
Is he in his element today?
Very much in his element. And I saw he had posted, if you check out our social channels, if you check out the Instagram feed, he's got Coach Vrabel's press conference and some of Drake May's already up, or Anne Michael May's husband, as he billed him in the caption, quite rightly. Yeah, she's really outshining Drake. He needs to set that right in the Super Bowl, you would think, to put himself back in contention for the family honours, never mind the NFL honours in that particular household. But we've spent a lot of time, actually, just because the Seahawks have been so much more visible in the last 24 hours, talking about them. It'll be interesting to see what comes out of the Patriots camp today, because a lot of the questions really are going to be, how are you going to overcome the odds here? How are you going to turn around the narrative which has the Seahawks winning this, and in some people's minds, quite comfortably? I mean, I was reading a piece by Benjamin Solak earlier today on ESPN, and he was looking at the key matchups. And one of the ones that stood out for me is Christian Gonzalez up against Jackson Smith and Jigba. Yeah. And you remember, to Kieran Boyle's point, how this season has actually been defined. And let's not fall over ourselves and do what we always do and focus too much on the offensive players, but it's been defined by standout defensive performances, both collectively in terms of what the Browns did, despite being underwater most of the season, what we saw the Texans do, what we've seen the Seahawks do, and what we've seen this Patriots defense do. I mean, Christian Gonzalez is, in that conversation, is one of the top 2 or 3, if not the best cornerback in this league. And that kind of matchup, best on best, steel sharpening steel, is what we're really looking forward to in this Super Bowl. And the Patriots will bring it.
And the defense has brought it during the playoffs, Conor. Like, we spoke so long, and we were even talking about the MVP situation with Drake May. But for me, the offense was going to be the leading light of the team. Not necessarily because defense wasn't playing well, but it was more overarching conversation throughout the regular season. But once we hit the playoffs, the Chargers game, the Titans game, the Broncos game, adverse weather conditions, the defense stepped up continuously throughout those 3 games. You're saying about how they can overcome the narrative around the Seahawks. I don't even think they'll be aware of it, but I don't think they're going to be overly concerned about it, because Vrabel's such a fantastic head coach. The noise will have been blocked out. He'll be very much driven around what we need to do on Sunday to win this game, what we need to do offensively and defensively. But people have this conversation on if Seahawks offense is explosive, they can get at this defense. But I'd imagine Vrabel and the coach staff, fantastic coach staff, spoke yesterday about this collaborative coaching. They would put a plan together as well to minimise what the big players on the Seahawks team. And there is a scenario where if they can close them down, then they're in a situation where, for me, it'd be interesting to see where we are mid-tour quarter. Does it then become a situation where, even Shane referred to yesterday, the offense hasn't played consistently over 4 quarters? Are you in a situation come the second half Sunday where now it's time to put that offensive performance together, because our defense has been resilient, shall we say, about managing this Seahawks offense?
Kieran Boyle, I know there's an element of, we can lean too much into over-interpreting body language and who looks composed or confident and who doesn't. And, in the absence sometimes of something more substantive, we lean into it. But having said all that, I will say I was looking at Coach Vrabel taken to the podium in that presser, and in the footage that Shane posted. I mean, he looked chill beyond belief. And one of the things I've been looking at all week is how I expect the Patriots to prepare for this. The Seahawks are going to have a job on their hands, because there's no way that Vrabel, McDaniels and co are going to leave a stone unturned here. Based on what we've seen so far this season from them, they will absolutely have a plan. I can't get it out of my head what they did against Buffalo, at least for the first half, when they came out of their bye week during the season. You give the Patriots 2 weeks to prepare for. It doesn't matter who you're preparing for. They will have everything locked down in just the way they need to. These are detail-oriented people. They live by that mantra of don't beat ourselves. They won't make mistakes unless they're forced into making them. And the Seahawks will need their A game if they're going to overcome this challenge.
Well, they will. And, we talked earlier about, where do you see the matchups? And I mean, in my opinion, we always talk about the O-lines and who's got the better O-line. I actually give the kind of nod to the Patriots O-line. I think they have a stronger, despite the Will Campbell stuff, but I think they have a more kind of solid unit.
What do you take, or what's your take on how Will Campbell has performed? He's getting a lot of knocks for his playoff performances when, to be fair to him, he's been up against some of the best pass rushers in the league.
Right. And again, he's a rookie, maybe carrying an injury. Everyone's injured at this stage of the season. Everyone's hurt in some way. But I think what they've started to do is put more tight ends and more block and wide receivers out there to help him, because he needs, obviously, you can't leave him out on an island. I think he's going to be a great player, but I don't see it being a massive problem, because, like you said, Vrabel's going to look at everything, every possible angle. And he knows that there's a perception, and I'm sure the Seahawks think it too, that that's the Patriots' weak link, the left tackle position. But you're going to see a lot of protection for Campbell on that line, whether it's an extra tight end, whether it's somebody like,
they've been using a nose tackle, haven't they?
Yeah. I mean,
as an extra for extra protection. I think it was called jumbo package. I think,
and you'll see that on maybe short downs situations, but you'll also see some tight ends helping them out. I mean, there's going to be wide receivers out there to help them. You won't be out on an island. I do give the nod slightly to the Patriots O-line, but that's where the win of the game is. We know that the Seahawks are without Charbonnet. That could be an issue. But I think that, when we look at the matchups, the New England run game, and again, we saw it in the snow. They definitely had a better game than the Broncos in on the ground. And I think that's where the Patriots are really going to have to, make their bones. Probably not the strongest wide receiver room in the league, but in Stevenson and in Henderson, that's two running backs that can burst out for 50, 60 yards at any time. So that's a weapon, and I'm sure Vrabel's going to exploit that a lot. A lot of play action from May, but there's definitely going to be a lot of those two. I think those two weapons are going to be exploited by Vrabel, and like you say, Vrabel is. I mean, the team takes on the personality of a head coach, and I know in the offseason last year there was some whispers maybe the Giants will go after him. This is a match made in heaven for the Patriots. A former legend at linebacker who's coming back in. Whether you want to say he learned off Belichick or not, that's up for debate. Some people say he's a disciple. He wants to be his own man. But the way that he composes himself, I mean, you saw in Denver. It's just, when they kept kicking the ball back to Denver, he had faith in his guys that there weren't, the Broncos wouldn't be able to do anything. But he has that kind of calm demeanor that, I will lead, you guys follow, take on the persona. He's, and it's what's crazy is if we remember the kind of knock on Vrabel, he was too much of a man, too macho, or whatever that phrase was.
You could never be too much of a man.
Exactly. I mean, how that is a knock, especially in a sport like football, is bananas. But that might have been some Titans putting some stuff out there to muddy the waters about him. But I mean, I've said it plenty of times, he's a guy that you want to play for. He's a guy's guy. You see him hanging out with ex-players like Taylor Lewan and the Barstool guys. He's just a man of the people. Might be a cliche, but he's that kind of persona where, he's gonna back you, and players will play for him. They'll go the extra yard for him because he's a player's coach, and he's a guy that really understands the different nuances of football. Again, he'll look at every single angle with McDaniels, obviously, but I think he's going to be the difference. If the Patriots do win this game, it's going to be, again, no mistakes, no errors, keeping a clean game. But I think if the Patriots win, and obviously it's a very big if, but if they do, it'll be a large part of it. It's going to be Vrabel and his kind of personality and how he leads that team.
Well, you mentioned what he did in Denver. Had a Denver omelet on your recommendation this morning, Ciarán. All the mushrooms. Don't do the mushrooms. But the Patriots went in and made an omelet in Denver. We'll see whether they can scramble the Seahawks when we come back and we hear from the word of COD. That's KOD, Ciarán and Donovan.
This is Ireland. Rugged, wild, and endlessly captivating. A land shaped by history, where ancient castles whisper stories of the past. Where world-class links golf connects you to breathtaking landscapes. And where centuries of craftsmanship and culture are blended to produce world-class whiskies, savoured as music and laughter fill the air. But every journey with us is about people, place, and authentic experiences you'll never forget. This is more than a trip. It's the Dunes and Drams experience. Discover Ireland with us and make...
Great odds. You're in control. You always bet responsibly. And you're not afraid to choose alternatives. That's why you bet with QuinnBet. Build your own unique football bets with Create a Bet. Winning team, first goal scorer, number of goals, the possibilities are endless. And with a 4-star Trustpilot customer service rating, why not give QuinnBet a shot? QuinnBet, we bet you love it.
Welcome back to the NFL show live from Radio Row. Our Radio Row coverage this week brought to you again, very gratefully from our perspective, by Dunes and Drams. Discover Ireland beyond the game. Ciarán O'Donovan, the light shining in your eyes like the sun above the bay. I'm trying to kill to you at the moment because Jordan Love has just entered the building, the Packers quarterback.
I have been on Jordan Love watch there, Ben. Don't leave him out of your sight. I'm getting up off the table. I'm going hunting him straight away after this.
I saw Jordan Love in Las Vegas 2 years ago.
Yeah, I'm a little bit starstruck here now. Just like We had Craig there.
He'll only
Craig met Mario Douglas, so he wanted to send a picture home to his wife, a big Saints fan as well. So a little bit of star spotting going on here today.
If the wives and partners and girlfriends could see you now going all starry-eyed over big hunky men, like it's quite a thing to watch, I can tell you.
Yeah, and they are watching. I spoke to my mother this morning, and the first thing she said is, "I was watching yesterday. You look a bit tired."
Oh. Saw Christian McCaffrey yesterday. We were all man crushing over Christian McCaffrey. What a specimen!
Absolutely,
beautiful man.
Absolutely.
Jordan Love will only let you down. Don't be worried about it.
And by the way, I had mushrooms this morning. They were fine. They were absolutely fine.
Magic mushrooms.
Can't do the fungus. I don't like the fungus, and the fungus doesn't like me.
Just wanted to make a quick point on Vrabel. Do you know what's resurfaced this week? His first team meeting. Have you seen this? Have you seen it? No hoodies during meetings. No phones on.
No hoodies.
Take your hood down. Don't have it over your head. No phones around. Don't be late for meetings. Just give me your time and your team meetings. All I ask of you. If you do that, we can start your relationship off on the right footing. It's just coming out this week, but it's coming out in the manner of like everybody highly respects what he's done. The players immediately acknowledge who he was as a leader, as a head coach, and here we are now, AFC champions and in the Super Bowl. As I said, not many people would have thought that start the season over 50-1 with our partner Quimby, a huge price. I wonder if there's anyone out there that's sweating nervously ahead of Sunday's game with that in their back pocket.
Ciarán, boy, the point that I wanted to come to you with based on conversations that we had yesterday and given your love of and knowledge of the college game, looking at the quarterbacks in the playoffs this year from that draft class a couple of years back, led by Drake May, of course, who takes to the field for the Super Bowl. We saw Caleb do some great things in Chicago. Saw Bo Nix, obviously very unfortunate that he got injured and was denied the opportunity to play for the AFC Championship up against Drake May. But just goes to show you what one key draft class like that could do for the whole league. And I'm interested in your thoughts on what the upcoming draft class has, because a lot of people are very down on the crop of quarterbacks in particular that are available for the 2026 draft in Pittsburgh in April.
Yeah, and if your team has got a solid quarterback, then you're feeling good, because it's not, other than Mr. Mendoza coming out of Indiana, there's this kind of sharp decline. And we saw Dante from Oregon basically decline, turn down the Jets. But it's not really it, and I equate this a lot to.
This is Stephen A. Smith saying you just like throw yourself down the stairs if you thought the Jets were going to pick you. Just you were injured and you couldn't go.
Yeah, I mean, the poor Jets. They can't even get a guy who's not even out of college yet. But yeah, it's a down year. But we talked about it being a down year for quarterbacks. But that only means that there's more crop of talent for the O-line, safeties, corners. But again, I've been saying it for quite a while. It's almost like the dilution of quarterbacks. It's almost like play for hire. It's the way the college system is right now with the NIL and with the transfer system. When before, a quarterback was with a school for the 4 years and worked their way up the depth chart. Now I'm hop skipping. I'm learning different schemes. This coach, I like this coach. This team went 5-6 in college. I'm going to move on. I want to win. I want to get to the league as quickly as possible. So you're seeing a dilution. Brady talked about it. Obviously, Tom Brady's not a huge fan of all this. There's a lot to be said for the kind of continuation of learning his scheme. But on the flip side, we see coaches moving all the time too. So there's no fault with anybody, but there's fault with everybody, if you know what I'm saying. The whole situation is in flux right now until they get a better handle of it. You're going to see quarterbacks coming out that are not quite fully developed. We've seen it the last couple of years. Bryce Young, flattered to deceive a lot. I mean, maybe the light was too bright on him. But then you got somebody like Nix who comes out and has a great season with Denver. Obviously, Drake May, who I really wanted with the Giants, but he ended up with the Patriots. He came out. He had huge backing behind him. And even someone like Jackson Dart, who came out of a pro-style system with Mr. Kiffin in Ole Miss. He kind of progressed up the ranks. But then you look at somebody like Caleb Williams, who hopped around school, and it dilutes the quality a little bit. It dilutes the learning, the learning kind of curve. And then a lot of times when they get to the league that first year, it's too much, and it takes a little bit longer for them to adapt. So we'll see. Again, Mendoza coming out this year. I mean, we can all agree that the Raiders will pick him number one. He's pretty much nailed on for that. But again, there's a bit of a steep decline after that. How he progresses with that Raiders team and that O-line, who's going to need a lot of help. He's got a running back, but there's no O-line in front of him. So that's a big difference that he had with Indiana.
Does Mendoza go on the journey that the likes of the Sam Darnold went on? Cam Ward is on at the moment with the Titans. That unknown, the punishment for being such a...
We talked about that with Dan Orlovsky yesterday, just around this time yesterday, and he was saying the same thing. Look, it's the same as it ever was. You come into the wrong setup. You got that monkey on your back. It's going to take a long time to get it off. And sometimes it takes us years to properly evaluate a quarterback, but they're written off so quickly.
Yeah, I think with Ward, when Ward came out, we all knew that there was a deficiency of talent with the Titans. I mean, the wide receiver room was it was not good at all. So, and again, the O-line didn't help him out enough. But we saw his raw talents. I saw him towards the end of the season when he was with against the Jags. He went out early in that game, but you can see the talent that he has. He just needs the pieces around him. I mean, he's a strong O-line, a good running game. I mean, the Titans have a huge amount to spend in free agency, so we'll see them spend the money as well as the draft. So he weathered that storm initially. He'll be the better player for it, And we saw like somebody like Darnold when he was with the Jets, weather the storm, just stuck with it, and he's able to come out the other side on better teams as his career progressed. And now he's where he needs to be with Seattle.
Kieran, just on that point, or following up from what Kieran Boyd has been saying, I'm intrigued as to what the Packers actually in particular are going to do in the draft, because it does seem like it's that best player available type draft, and it's a best player available situation realistically for Green Bay, unless I'm misreading it, isn't it?
They have to go after a good cornerback or two. They need to address the secondary. Besides Xavier McKinney, I don't think there's anyone consistent on that secondary, and I think that's the big outstanding deficiency that the Packers have. Special teams is a case of coaching. That's the other deficiency that they have. And
for quite some time,
absolutely, for a long time. They're at best they're underwhelming, and at worst they're downright just incompetent on special teams. But they have talent everywhere else. I mean, they have stars everywhere else. They have stars on the receiver core. They have a star at tight end now. They have a star at quarterback, I believe. They have Micah Parsons on defense, and other guys that have the ability to step up. So they have it everywhere, except in the situational, big moments, situations in big moments, and that's secondary. It's the clear and obvious deficiency that they have.
Brian, from your perspective, what are the Giants going to do?
With so many holes, Conor, it's really difficult. It's difficult to know. They need another wide receiver to complement Neighbours. The suggestions are 5. The wide receiver, the first wide receiver, will go off the board there. I think similar to Ciarán, there's a huge need for the cornerback. They went heavy on free agency last year in the secondary. Don't think it's really worked out to be early, too early to suggest that it was a bad move. But I suppose in a way, sometimes at 5, you're in that nice situation where you take the best play, as you said, best available, and drops you. And you're gonna walk away with a slam dunk player. It'd be interesting to see what the nature of the player in which they select from a John Harbaugh perspective, because you saw the conversation we had with Pat Leonard from New York Daily News yesterday around this is going to be a Harbaugh-led draft. You're going to know the player. When the player gets selected, you'll know very much, that's a Harbaugh kind of player, as opposed to a Joe Shane kind of player. And where's the chessboard? I mean, who ultimately is making that decision? It seems like Shane is in the background now. Harbaugh's running the show, so it will be an interesting dynamic come April.
Brian mentioned, sorry, Kieran, Brian mentioned that chat with Pat Leonard. For all Giants fans, that's a little Easter egg for all of you. It was a moment of, I appreciated your joy vicariously. Like the rest of us were just excluded. It was all Giants all the time, just wall to wall G-men. The lads all giddy.
We need to get a blue tablecloth.
But they had the Lions winning the next 7 Lombardis by the time they were done. Like their cup run, it's over many, many times.
Told you we were sorted for LA next year. Sorry, speaking into existence. If only. It's funny, sorry, just to back the Packers. It's only now again at the end of the season, you get so into a season, into a situation, and week to week, and who they're playing, and evaluating where they are in the playoff. That Micah Parsons injury in Denver at that particular moment of the season was so significant, and because the Packers went out in the manner in which they did in the playoffs.
That is a massive, it's sliding doors moment, not
Absolutely.
Just for the Packers. Like, it's hard to know how the NFC Championship would have unfolded, and it's hard not to see the Packers would have not having a much bigger say than they ultimately did if that doesn't happen. Like you think they probably win that game. Where did Denver go after that? Then like, 2 roads diverged in the forest in a big way there in that moment.
Yeah, it was a huge moment. But just to come back to the point that you made on the draft and best player available in the draft, well, like I suppose you could counter that by saying, well, if the best player isn't filling a need for you, then you need to find another way to fill a need. I mean, you look at what the Seahawks did in the offseason, and we've given John Schneider huge credit in putting the pieces together through trades, acquisitions. We've talked
Brian
about
Walters, who you and I were talking about, the former Seattle Seahawks wide receiver and Super Bowl winner, was like just full of praise for John Schneider, as everybody has been, but he's been crushing.
And that's where the GMs are in their stripes. If the player isn't in the draft, then you use the draft to leverage players from another team. You need to go and address your needs, and that's it. That's all I have to say.
We have our next guest.
Oh, we do indeed, Jeff. We're all lined up and ready to go. So look, we'll leave it there for our first live hit from Radio Row from today. We'll be back live again at 1 p.m. San Francisco time, doing the maths here. That's 9 p.m, of course, back home. Stay with us here in the meantime on the Irish NFL Show. Loads more content coming on social. As we say, in particular, keep an eye out for Shane's updates from the Patriots media availability. He's been at the Vrabel and the Drake May press conferences and lots more besides. All of that coming up across the morning and the afternoon.